Entertainment Weekly has joined the toxic fandom, apparently. Entertainment Weekly hates diversity and inclusion and representation. They are intimidated by non-white dude characters, and they get really upset when marginalized voices are heard. At least, that's what the narrative is always when fans have it. So let's apply it to the mainstream when they have a negative opinion of a show, because in the world that we live in, if you're a fan and you have an actual opinion that goes against what the mainstream narrative supposedly is, suddenly you get painted with that very label over and over again. So let's just play by their rules. Entertainment Weekly is now part of the toxic fandom, and they are against diversity, representation, and inclusion. So here's their review of Rings of Power. Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power review. Amazon's prequel is kind of a catastrophe. And it starts out hot, really hot. And it says right here, there are ways to do a prequel, and the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power does them all wrong. It takes 6 or 7 things everybody remembers from the famous movie trilogy, adds a water tank, makes nobody fun, teases mysteries that aren't mysteries, and sends the best character on a pointless detour. Holy crap. Like, that is a savage way to open this, and I love it. It is so awesome to see this outlet that has shilled so damn hard for this show. This is the outlet that gave us this trash right here, this Entertainment Weekly Days of Our Lives meme that everybody's been memeing. That's who did it, and now here we are with them just opening up hot. The latter is Uber Elf Galadriel, Guy Ladriel, who spends the premiere telling people to worry about Sauron. In response, people tell her not to worry about Sauron. That's 1 hour down. 7 to go this season. Sound like $1 billion yet? Woo! Tolkien imagines Galadriel as an immortal who leaves a sun-swept garden paradise because she yearns, quote, to see the wide, unguarded lands of Middle-earth and, quote, to rule there a realm at her own will. Kate Blanchett, who was fantastic in Peter Jackson's trilogy, played her in Peter Jackson's movies as a Vulcan Witch of Justice. The new Prime series, debuting with 2 episodes on Friday, soldiers her up on a vengeance kick. Like, the fact that Entertainment Weekly is calling this out is kind of insane. It is absolutely kind of insane. I'm actually shocked that they've gone this hard on this show, a show that they have shilled so much for. Now, again, let me be clear, all right, because most outlets are not doing this. Most outlets are praising this. Most outlets are telling you it's the greatest thing ever created. There are a few out there, even Grace Randolph, and I don't know if I can find the clip to put in here. Grace Randolph actually called Galadriel a Mary Sue. She actually called her that.
Morphin Clark was so happy to get the big role of Galadriel. In fact, she said she fainted when she found out. So I feel bad that I have to report that she is the worst casting choice of the show and drags the entire thing down. She makes Galadriel both an elven Mary Sue and an elven Karen who would like to speak to the manager. I can't believe it. I can't believe she's both of those horrible things.
What? What the hell's going on? It's like all the things that the fans have been saying for all of this time, now they're being repeated by people that were calling us toxic fans. It's amazing how that continues to work out, but this is not surprising. And this is why we will continue to hold these weirdos accountable and hold these people accountable. As we've said, Rings of Power will end up being one of, if not the biggest disasters we have ever seen. We have never seen backlash like this on this level. It is something else, like the downvotes, and it's not just one trailer, it's not just one thing here, one thing there, it's universal across the board. Every single promotional piece for Rings of Power is getting annihilated online because the Tolkien fan base is not putting up with it. And so many people around the fandom, whether it's Star Wars or Marvel or DC or Ghostbusters or anything like that, they've seen this happen so much that Everyone is now red-pilled as hell, and they know exactly what you're doing when you push this nonsense into it. And they've seen all of the virtue signaling from the cast and all of the ridiculousness from the cast with all of their interviews and all of their claims that this is the first time we've ever seen a woman in Tolkien's universe. This is the first dwarf. It's the first black dwarf. It's the first female dwarf. Well, now I see myself in this show. Now I see this in this show. People are sick and tired of it. And Rings of Power is now the peak, it feels like, of all of this wokeness, and people are finally seeing it. And that's what we have been calling out for a long time now. And that's why we have continued to call it out, because we need voices out there that are holding these weirdos accountable, holding them accountable. Because how have they gotten to this place? They've gotten to this place by having media outlets using their talking points and pushing them out there. I talked about this 5-6 years ago. I mentioned how at that time, all we heard was these shill arguments. That's all we heard. We just heard all of these shill arguments for anything that was out there. Now, the identity politics stuff wasn't that bad back then, but even still, you never heard a different opinion. You always kind of heard the same kind of talking points from all of the people in the media. Well, now things have changed. It's not the shill outlets that have the pulse of the people. It's not the shill outlets that are the only voices out there. There are many voices out there, and many voices are able to call this what it is, call this for the trash of what it is, and that really upsets the mainstream. It really bothers them. But we're not going to slow down, and we're not going to stop. It doesn't matter how many times we're accused of being this, that, or the other. It doesn't matter. We're here to do what we feel we need to do to call these people out and hold them accountable, because culture is important. Pop culture is important. Our entertainment is important. Video games is important. Movies, comic books, it's all important. And we need voices out there calling it out. So with this Rings of Power stuff, we're going to continue to go through this. We're going to continue to roast this beyond belief, because it deserves to be roasted, because they are hijacking yet another property, and they know that they can't create from the ground up, so they're trying to hijack something that already existed, and then they want to cast you out when you hold them accountable for the trash that they're giving us. Fuck that. Now, I'll go through the rest of this later on in another video, but I definitely wanted to point out the opening statements here are just fantastic and going all in on this. But again, just to be clear, most outlets are giving this series great reviews, fantastic reviews. Last time I looked, it was like a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. There are a few people out there roasting it, but most of them are praising it beyond belief, because it's Amazon, and they want to stay in good with Amazon, because Amazon is the king right now, and they want to make sure to stay in those good graces. We will continue to follow this. We will cover all of the Rings of Power nonsense. House of Dragon is out. Look, I like House of Dragon so far, but I'm having trouble getting past season 8 of Game of Thrones. I think I will, but it's still pretty difficult for 2 episodes in to get past Game of Thrones season 8. But House of Dragon is doing pretty good. You've got Cobra Kai coming out, which I'm very excited about. You've got She-Hulk, which is a complete and total disaster. So there are some interesting things to talk about. So stay tuned to Geeks and Gamers. Thank you guys for the support. We appreciate it. Check us out on Locals. Check us out on Rumble. Check us out on Odyssey and geeksandgamers.com. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.